Hello everyone and welcome to our ConnectALL product demonstration webinar series. My name is Marites and I'll be your moderator for today together with my colleague Bharat. In this session, I am pleased to introduce you to Doug Bass, our integration expert and solution architect, who will show you how integration between Salesforce and Jira is done using ConnectALL. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. First, today's webinar will be available on demand after the live session. We will send you the link afterwards. Next, we'd love to hear from you during today's presentation. If you have any questions during the session, please type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel, and we will bring them up after the presentation. We will have time for Q&A at the end. And last, we'd like to encourage you to share today's webinar with your social networks. So without further ado, I'm handing it over now to Doug. Doug.
Thank you, Marites. This is Doug Bass. We're going to talk today about Jira and Salesforce integration. But first, let's talk a little bit about information and the great advantages we have these days and the information that's available, and also the disadvantages of that, how to bridge those gaps, and then I'll go into the ConnectALL demo. A little bit about myself. I am a systems and solutions architect. I've been doing integration for a lot of years, and ConnectALL is something we invented 5 or 6 years ago, and this is our current integration product. I also like to attend conferences, read papers, write papers, sort of be part of the market here and contributing what my thoughts might be. And of course, I'm also an active sailor. So let's talk a little bit about information. In these days, information is completely self-service. How many of you now have libraries and books in your house or your office? Things have really changed. Of course, everybody uses Google. Whenever I want to figure out how to do something, all the how-tos are on YouTube. Websites, reading white papers, writing blogs, listening to subject matter experts and podcasts while you're driving down the street. So it's just amazing how much information is out there. Any question you might want to ask, it just seems like it's available instantly online. Of course, that's a good thing and a bad thing. You know, we're being overloaded with all of the information. We're sometimes doubting what information to trust. Is it a reliable sense of information? And of course, that's something we use when we're reviewing the information. Well, where did it come from? Who wrote it? Is that person an expert, or are they selling a product? So it's always important to understand where that information is coming from. Of course, that requires us to spend more and more time to investigate, to get credible information, to research, and to figure out how to utilize this information that may be available out there. Of course, all the administration activities related to the information, whether you're a consumer or a producer, is very monotonous. It can take a lot of time away from your work where you're doing your actual workload. So that is a new task that's in everybody's life these days. And of course, our days can be full of meetings, voicemails, maybe conversations or activities that aren't the best approach to getting into that mode of deep thoughts and future vision that helps everybody in companies to move forward in this world. So we all need help. When whatever help we can derive from this information, we need to come up with solutions where we can understand, set up, maintain, and scale those processes, procedures, data items, so that they can be efficient going forward in our life. One really interesting book by Steve Krug that talks about this, called Don't Make Me Think Revisited. It's a very interesting and brief book along the idea of information overload and how you can solve this problem in your life. Of course, in our workplace, work exists in many places now. We no longer have one silo or one application or one area of information. We typically are using best of breed applications across the enterprise, whether it's Jira or Rally or ServiceNow or Salesforce or HP, lots of applications we see in the enterprise that are tools specifically aligned to a specific job. Test management, you'll see people using test tools. Customer management or accounting or software development, we have now these days, we have tools that are very specific to working in that particular environment. So wouldn't it be great if you could just hire a robot? It's going to go out to all these different systems. It's going to gather the data that you're interested in, and it's going to help you slash that manual effort it takes to capture information and add some value to it. Something that gives you immediate feedback, that helps you collaborate with all those other applications and those people that are using the other applications. And of course, reducing human error. If you're having to access these other systems, enter data into multiple systems, then that surely is inefficient and error prone. So ConnectALL was developed to help solve these problems. ConnectALL is a general purpose integration platform. It has minimum impact in your environment. There's no plugins or add-ins to add to each of your applications. It's a single application that goes out and grabs this information and brings it over to a system that's convenient to you. It's very easy to set up. It's all code-free, point and click configuration. There's no reason to do any programming to get this to work. It's also very flexible. We offer both a cloud version and an on-premise version of the application. Whatever works well within your IT organization, your security organization, can run inside your firewall or outside. And right now we're supporting about 3 dozen different tools that seem to be most popular within our ALM space. So again, the configuration of ConnectALL, it's pretty, to a very large degree, it's simply point and click. Choose what data you want to synchronize, choose what systems you want to synchronize. So it's a lot easier than having to edit XML files or developing and maintaining custom code. All that customization code has been developed for you and is packaged in with the product. So of course, the whole idea is, one of the ideas is collaboration. Another idea is workflow management. So we want to distribute the workflow across applications as an activity goes from defining requirements to test to develop to release. We want to use all these different tool chains as efficiently as possible to move the information around, move the responsibilities around, but make the information available in some central system, something like Jira. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Jira integration and how we might use a Jira Salesforce integration to answer some of these questions. Some of the use cases around a Jira integration would be, I'm using Salesforce as my customer interfacing tool, maybe the tool that your salesperson is using, or maybe your end customer or your internal persons are using Salesforce to track customers, accounts, cases, and then your engineering department is probably using Jira to work on their stories, features, bugs. So ConnectALL can be used to integrate the application data between these two systems. So let me show you a little bit about ConnectALL, how it achieves that goal, and then we can have a Q&A session at the end and talk a little bit about what your specific needs are. So ConnectALL, like I said, is a general purpose integration application You would download it, install it on a VM inside your firewall, or you can use our cloud version if you want. That would be really helpful if you say you're using the cloud version of Jira and the cloud version of Salesforce, then maybe you want a cloud version of ConnectALL too, so you don't have to manage it yourself. So that's available, either cloud or on-premise. So once you install it or get you logged in, typically your admins would log into ConnectALL, and they would pick and choose what applications that they want to integrate. Maybe Jira is one. And then the other, we support dozens of other applications. Of course, Salesforce we're talking about today, HP Quality Center, IBM Rational products, Microsoft products like TFS, VSTS, source control systems like Perforce and ClearCase and Git, defect tracking systems, test systems like QA Complete and Ranorex, ServiceNow, version 1, Zendesk. We even have a custom REST adapter. So if you have a custom application in-house and you want to share the data in your custom application on the Data Hub, you can use our remote adapter for that. We also have a general purpose database adapter. So say you want to store or retrieve information from a database and send it to your other applications, then you could use our database adapter. So lots of different choices there of different applications that we support. And of course, we're always supporting more. We're always rolling out more all the time. So you select the two applications that you want to integrate. This is what we call an application link. This is where we're going to store the metadata, the projects and the fields that you want to synchronize between your systems. So give your application link some unique name. You can create as many of these as you like. You can turn them on and off. I've got a couple of hundred created. No limit to how many application links that you can create. So once you've chosen the two applications that you want to integrate, then you can go in and you could start choosing the projects, the fields, the data that you want to synchronize between your applications. Of course, the place that you begin is with the URLs. First, you put in the URLs of the two applications on the Jira side and the Salesforce side. Put in your credentials, a user ID, not necessarily an admin, but someone with read and write permissions, like a project lead that has permissions to grab the metadata, like the project names and the field names. And then choose how you want to handle conflicts. Conflicts occur in a bi-directional integration when the same field, the same record changes in both systems at the same time. Well, of course, ConnectALL handles this automatically in one of three ways. You can use master of record, choose one system or the other to be the master, or whoever made the change first, whoever made the change last. In the rare event a conflict is detected, we'll also send an email to your administrator. The next step is to select the entities that you want to synchronize. On the Jira side, of course, it's any of the projects that you have over in Jira, any of the standard or custom issue types in Jira you would like to synchronize. Over in Salesforce, any of the entities that you have in Salesforce. Of course, case is probably going to be the most common data item to synchronize in Salesforce to Jira defects, but any of the other data types that you have, accounts, contacts, assets, any of those could be synchronized over with some other application. And by the way, as we're going through these wizard steps, whether you're synchronizing Jira or Salesforce or ALM or TFS, these steps are all pretty much the same, very minor differences between them. Okay? So the way we synchronize the data is by using a poll. In other words, we'll query Salesforce, for example. Salesforce, tell us the records that have changed since the last poll, like in the last minute or the last 5 minutes. That's what we'll synchronize back and forth. That's what this 1 minute is for. We can also do what we call a push. So we can push the data by writing a script in, say, Jira, and that would be event-driven and send the data immediately to ConnectALL. Your synchronization user doesn't need to be an admin. It could be anyone with read and write permissions. We also have a poll query so you can limit the data. Maybe you'll create the cases in Salesforce. Maybe you'll want to triage those cases. And maybe you'll set the status to triage, which means we've reviewed it and it does need to be assigned to engineering. Then the data would come over to Jira. You also have control over the direction of the data, unidirectional, bi-directional data, both at the record level, represented by the create and the update, also down at the field level. So last of all is the field mapping. You simply choose a field in the two systems you want to synchronize, what direction you want the data to go, bi-directional, one direction or another. Hit the plus and that field pair will be the list of fields being synchronized. As you can see, I have a number of fields here, standard fields, custom fields, going in several directions. We can have constants. We can also do some other things. We can change the conflict management strategy down at the field level. So maybe for this one field, we want the other system to be the master, for example. We can also change the data type. Like in Jira, the description field can be rendered in Wiki, HTML, or plain text, so we can select those or any of the other data types that we want. We also have control of create versus update down at the field level. So maybe when we create a ticket in Jira, we want to maybe set the description, but if it's changed, we don't want Salesforce to be modified. You have control over that. Last of all, you have value mapping. So the values typically for maybe status or priority are not the same in the two systems. So you can map those. Here we have resolved on one side and closed on the other. So we can map those one-to-one, one-to-many, like we have here, any direction that we want. We also have some advanced mappings, like if it's null on one side, what to set it to on the other side. We also have default mapping. So when you're creating a new record, if a field doesn't have a value, what's the default value that you want to set it to? So once you've done all your mapping, you would save it, and then ConnectALL starts synchronizing the data automatically in the background. So you can come over to the dashboard, and in the dashboard pane, you would see the records that are getting synced in real time. You can see all your application links, how often they're synchronized. This first one is synced every 3 hours. Say I want to sync it right now, I'll just click on the blue link. If I want to change the interval of how often it's scheduled, I can click on the green link. I can also see errors down at the record level. I would just pick the notepad and it would show me the error. Maybe I forgot to map a required field. I could fix my mapping, click here. It'll now resync that one record. I also have histograms that show you how much data is getting synchronized between your applications. As the synchronization is running, problems may occur. Alarms will be sent to your system administrator on a sync failure, on a field conflict, or maybe an application outage. We could also send those not just through email, but to a HIP chat room in Atlassian. Your project leads can also manage their own application links. We could send the project leads their notifications. We would first set them up as a user in ConnectALL, put them in a security group so they can manage only their own projects. When they log in, we would store their password encrypted in the ConnectALL database, or if you want, you can hook it up to your LDAP or Active Directory servers to authenticate those ConnectALL users. If you're using the on-premise version, of course, you can configure what email server you want to use for notifications. You can send notifications out to multiple users. ConnectALL runs on top of a small database that you would provide. The databases we support include Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, and Postgres. The only data we store in the database would be the record IDs to keep track of what records are getting synced. And then last of all, we have Mule. We run on top of the MuleSoft Enterprise Service Bus, and you can configure what Mule server you're using as the background synchronization engine. Note that the installer, when you download it from our website, it's going to include it includes Mule, the Java JDK, Tomcat. It includes everything except the database. You would provide a small database, and the installer would have everything else included. The licensing of the product is done by servers. So for example, say you wanted to synchronize 2 Salesforce organizations and 3 Jiras, then you would buy a license for each, along with what we call the core license, which is licenses the user interface you see in the background synchronization engine. So that's a little bit of information about ConnectALL and how you would configure it and set it up to work. Over on our website, we also have lots of good information. We have white papers and blogs and videos. These webinars will be uploaded there. We also have a complete set of documentation. So we have install guide, the upgrade guide, the user's guide, which basically I just went through all the features that are available in the user interface. And then we also have a developer's guide. With ConnectALL, you can create scripts that would do complex mapping scenarios, if then else scenarios, maybe go to another system to look up data. You could create this script in any language you want, Java, Perl, Ruby, drop that on the ConnectALL server, and it can do that complex mapping for you. From the user's point of view, in using this product, it's completely transparent. I could be a Salesforce user, and I could be entering data over in Salesforce. Once I do that, the data automatically gets synchronized over to Jira. I was doing this earlier, created a case in Salesforce in about a minute. That would synchronize over to your Jira ticket. As you can see, the user interface looks like it always does. You don't have to retrain your users. Of course, now maybe they're seeing comments or attachments or status changes that they weren't seeing before. They could collaborate with the users in the different products, which is one of the main purposes of the ConnectALL product, to aid collaboration. So now they're collaborating. Now the Salesforce salesperson, or maybe your end customer, can now see status changes. Maybe the bug has been fixed, it's ready for release. So that information is now readily available to all of the users of all your applications. So that's the whole idea behind ConnectALL and the value that it brings to an enterprise. So at this time, I'm finished with my demo. I'm ready to turn it over to Marites and see if we have any questions for us today.
Yes, Doug, thanks a lot. We have some questions from the audience. So the first question is, would ConnectALL change our process flow in order to synchronize information between Jira and Salesforce?
Yes, that's a very good question. So as you can see, ConnectALL is a very flexible tool. You can map your data. If maybe your statuses, priorities, severities, different fields are not the same, you can map those to the other application. Though this is an excellent time as you're rolling this out to look at those processes, look at those data items. If they're different, why are they different? Well, probably because those teams evolved separately, or maybe they had different needs for the data. But now that you're integrating not only the products, but the teams, this might be a good time to review those data items. Maybe they should be better aligned in their definition. So this would be a good time to address that need.
Thank you, Doug. There's another question here. You showed us the how to configure ConnectALL to integrate Jira and Salesforce. is there any need to do something like setup and configuration on Jira or Salesforce?
Yes, we try to minimize that as much as possible. Again, ConnectALL is a separate application that you download. You don't need to install any add-ins or plugins. Of course, you need the right kind of credential information. You need to know what project data you want to synchronize. Of course, you need to know the fields, right? What fields you want to communicate between the applications, but you don't need special administration permissions. You don't need to add any additional software or licenses outside of ConnectALL to get the products to integrate.
All right, another question is, our company uses Jira Data Center. Would ConnectALL support that?
Yes, actually, Jira Data Center is just multiple nodes or multiple machines running and cooperating with the Jira database. So on the front of your Jira Data Center is a load balancer. It's another application that distributes the load between all of your Jiras. Now, ConnectALL will connect directly with that load balancer. So to ConnectALL, we don't even know Jira Data Center is behind the scenes there. It's transparent to us. So yes, with Jira Data Center, it would work fine.
I saw this, so this is another question, by the way. I saw that there is a product called CRM plugin for Jira. Is there any difference between the CRM plugin for Jira and Salesforce and ConnectALL?
Yes, interesting question. The CRM plugin is an add-on to Jira we developed about 10 years ago before ConnectALL. And the purpose of that plugin was to synchronize the data between one Jira and one Salesforce. It is a plugin or an add-on, which means it's only available on the on-premise version of Jira, not the cloud version of Jira. And it also synchronizes the data just between one Jira and one Salesforce. So probably half of our customers are synchronizing more than 2 applications, 3, 4, 5 applications. So with the plugin, you're very limited. You can only synchronize between 2 systems. And it's also a plugin, which means that every time you upgrade Jira, you have to check to make sure that a version of the CRM plugin exists for your new version of Jira. With ConnectALL, it's not directly embedded in the Jira application. We use what we call REST APIs. It's an external interface, and that external interface changes much less often than a plugin would be impacted. So ConnectALL is impacted less as you do upgrades with your applications.
So there's a follow-up question to that. Does it mean that ConnectALL can support both on-premise and cloud-based applications?
Yes, that's very true. It can connect with both on-premise and cloud. Of course, depending on your firewall rules. So all the rules in the applications and in your network are obeyed. So we don't tunnel through your firewall unless you open up the firewall for us. We don't violate any of your data rules, your workflow rules within your applications. That's still up to you to manage and enforce properly. We simply synchronize or move the data between the applications. But yes, we do support both cloud and on-premise applications.
All right, we don't have any more questions from the audience. So with that, I thank you all for joining us on this session. Stay tuned for more upcoming webinars from ConnectALL. Thank you very much, Doug, for this very insightful webinar, and hope to see you all again. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.